reading from Pu Song Ling, Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio, Story number 2, An Otherworldly Examination. Song Tao was the grandfather of my elder sister's husband. He was a first-degree graduate and holder of an annual government stipend. One day, he was lying ill in bed when he saw a messenger arrive at his door, bearing an official-looking document and leading a horse with white markings on its forehead. You are hereby summoned to the examination for the 2nd degree. But the examiner has not arrived in town yet. They cannot be holding an examination. The messenger made no reply, but urged him to be on his way. So Song struggled out of bed, climbed onto the horse, and was carried away down an unfamiliar road, which soon led to the outskirts of a city, grand enough to be a royal capital. Presently, they passed through the imposing buildings of a prefect's yamen and into a large hall, where, sitting up ahead, Song beheld a group of high-ranking mandarins, none of whom he could identify, with the exception of the god of war, Guan Yu. At the near end of the hall, beneath the eaves, stood a pair of low tables and round stools, and at one of these sat another man, evidently a first-degree graduate like himself. Song sat down at the other table, where brush and paper had been laid ready, and presently a strip of paper with the title of a formal essay topic came fluttering down from the blue and alighted in front of him. Song read the wording of the question: 1 man, 2 men, with intent, without intent. The 2 candidates proceeded to write their essays, and when they were completed, handed them in at the dais. Song's essay read in part: Virtue, pursued with intent, deserves no reward. Evil committed without intent merits no punishment. The pantheon of examiners passed his script along, and all of them praised it highly. Presently they called Song up to the dais and delivered the following judgment. There is a city god vacancy in Hunan province. You are the preferred candidate for the position. The truth suddenly dawned on Song. He kowtowed to the examiners, weeping and saying, How could I ever presume to decline such a great honor? But my aged mother is in her 70s and will have no one left to look after her. I beg to be allowed to nurse her until the end of her allotted span of life, when I will gladly take up the post. One of the examiners, who appeared to be the presiding deity, gave orders to check the mother's longevity file, and an attendant with a long beard brought out the registers and began leafing through them. The lady in question has 9 years left on the Yang plane, he reported. The committee of deities was still debating the issue when the god of war made a proposal. Why do we not appoint the other candidate, Mr. Zhang, to the post in an acting capacity for a period of 9 years, after which time candidate Song can take up his plenary appointment? This being agreed upon, he informed Song of the committee's decision in the following terms. In the normal course of events, you should proceed straight to this post. In view, however, of your laudable feelings of benevolence and filial piety, we are approving a sabbatical leave of 9 years. When that time has expired, you will be summoned again before this board. He ended by giving the other candidate a few well-chosen words of advice, whereupon both men bowed and withdrew from the hall. Zhang took Song companionably by the hand and accompanied him to the outskirts of the town, where he explained that he was from the town of Changshan and presented Song with a poem of farewell, the words of which have been lost, save for a couplet. With wine and flowers, the spring is ever present. With neither candle nor lamp, the night is still bright. Song mounted his horse and went on his way. When he reached his village, he awoke as if from a dream, to discover that he had been lying dead 3 whole days. His mother heard a groan emanating from within the coffin, and immediately gave orders for her son's body to be lifted out of it. Half a day later, he had recovered sufficiently to be able to speak. And when he made inquiries in nearby Changshan, he learned that a Mr. Zhang of the town had indeed breathed his last on the very same day as himself. 9 years later, Song's mother passed away as had been foretold. When her funeral rites were concluded, her son performed his ablutions, retired to his chamber, lay down, and died. His wife's parents lived within the west gate of the town, and at the moment of his death, they saw him approaching their house, escorted by a large retinue and riding a richly caparisoned horse. He came walking into their main hall, made them a formal bow of farewell, and went on his way. Not realizing that he was a departed spirit, they rushed out in great perplexity to inquire what it could mean, only to be informed that their son-in-law had just died. Song wrote a short account of his experience, but alas, after the troubles it was lost. I have given the gist of it. The end.